Hi everyone, this is Mike Farney, SEO and Analytics Manager with Eagle Dream Technologies. On this week's 10-Minute Tech Talk, we're going to look at the latest COVID-19 news, how customers are responding to that news, then how you can use some tools to adapt your digital marketing plans. Hope you can join me again this week to continue our journey around data-driven marketing with COVID-19. Everyone, this is Mike Farney, SEO and Analytics Manager with Eagle Dream Technologies. Today I want to continue my 10-minute tech talk with data-driven marketing for COVID-19. Talk a little bit about some customer research data and what's happening out there in the marketplace with regards to COVID and Corona. So some of the things I want to talk about today, I want to give a quick update on the news, what's happening out there. Also discuss a little bit about customer data and attitudes via some survey data, and then briefly touch on customer data again, and then talk about some of the research tools that we're using to help us develop some content around some of the things that we're seeing. So let's talk about recent announcements. So not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, New York City started to come out, Governor Cuomo came out and started talking about antibody testing and the beginning stages of starting to look towards opening up businesses in New York State. That's a big step for New York State because obviously it's the epicenter for a lot of what's going on. So that's a pretty good sign. We're also seeing a lot of countries in Asia, including India and European countries starting to release or relax, I should say, business restrictions. Like in India, farming, banking, public works are starting to come back online. Even in the United States, we're seeing some states starting to open up again, like Maine and Texas. And so these are important developments that are happening in the last even week or so, where we see things starting to slowly open back up again. We're also seeing some of our customer data starting to improve. So what you'll see here is this is website traffic for a number of our customers. We're starting to see some of the red numbers move into the green. So web traffic is starting to increase. We're also hearing this industry-wide. We're hearing that a lot of companies are starting to get more traffic. Not everybody is in great shape, but we're seeing movements in that direction. So those are positive signs. So let's talk a little bit about some survey data that we're seeing out there in customer attitudes. This is a couple weeks old, so I think some of these numbers may even be better than what we're looking at. But let's look at the first one. Thinking about when COVID-19 related closures and restrictions end, how will you proceed in using these services? Will you start using them again immediately? And will you use them as much or more as you did before? So what we see in the numbers here, restaurants and bars and grocery stores and entertainment centers, shopping centers and malls, even though the numbers aren't perfect, we still see there's some pent up demand for that. And I think as these things open up, there's going to be a real willingness and desire for people to move back into the marketplace. The next one, how much have the following influenced your decision to engage with or purchase products from a brand in the current environment? Keeping employees and customers safe, protection of jobs in their company, support employees with adequate health care benefits. I think this one says a lot about how consumers are paying a lot of attention to how companies are treating their employees and customers. Are they keeping them safe? Are they doing the right things for their employees and customers? The other survey question that I thought was really interesting is, in light of the current circumstances, how long do you think it will be before the U.S. small business climate returns to normal? And if you take a closer look at the answers here, 41% think that it's 6 months or less. And this information is even a couple weeks old. So I bet it's more closer to 50%. And so, I think the outlook for most people is that the economy is going to be back to some level of normalcy within 6 months. So that's I think a lot of us would like to see it happen quicker than that, but still, that's a pretty positive outlook overall. This next slide talks a little bit more about how venues like concert venues, museums, theaters, aquariums, stuff like that, customers are looking at going back to those places. These are places that typically have a lot of people in a particular place, and the first answer or response to this survey, of course, is everybody would like a vaccine. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that's the top desire. But if you look at the other stuff, what you see are really kind of health safety issues. So are you providing some options to be outdoors? I think that makes people comfortable. Hand sanitizer, restricting how many people are in a particular location close together, that kind of thing. Monitoring on-site health issues, stuff like that. A good example of this is I went to Home Depot this week, and a real stark difference between like right after COVID happened and what's happening now. So before, you could just walk into Home Depot and just everybody was in there. They were too close. There was no health rules that were in place or anything. Now when I go in, there's somebody counting how many people come into the Home Depot location store. They only allow 100 people in at a time. Everyone has to wear a mask. All the cash registers and counters have shields, plastic shields that protect their employees and their customers from possibly contaminating each other, infecting each other. So Home Depot's taken some real strong steps towards making sure their employees are safe as well as their customers. So these are the types of things that we're going to start to see, I think, when the marketplace starts to open up again. So I think, what have we learned from all that information that I just gave you is things are moving quickly. It wasn't that long ago, about a month or month and a half, 2 months ago, I was out at restaurants and, enjoying meals and stuff. That's changed very, very quickly, and it's still changing. And so this slide is a survey that was given asking businesses how they view customer data. And the first item here says use multi-use sources of customer data to access their unmet needs. So what we're seeing is a lot of people companies were accessing customer data on a monthly basis. Now it's being accessed on a weekly and daily basis. And we're seeing that in small businesses and enterprise businesses. And if you go down these questions, I've highlighted a couple others there. Share, test, and learn findings across organizations and use scenarios to time and size potential shifts in industry economics. So this data, this customer data and information that I was actually just discussing is moving from an annual or quarterly reporting to a monthly and weekly reporting for most companies. So the need to access data very quickly and efficiently is has become very important. I want to revisit the customer data side. I gave my last 10-minute tech talk talked about this more in depth, but here are some sources of data that you can get to give yourself some idea of what's happening, at least at a website level. Web page views, this is just a classic measurement that you can go in and look in Google Analytics or any web analytics tool that you're using to find out what people are viewing on your site. Are there changes in the views? You really want to focus on pre and post March 11th. That's really when the news of COVID and this lockdown happened. So you want to take a look at that. You also want to look at something called site searches, which are when people are doing searches on your website, look for patterns there. Then you also want to look at Google Search Console searches to see what kind of queries are being made on Google and have they changed pre and post March 11th. So these are really good sources of information that you want to look at and pay attention to. And then one of the things that we found was a real increase in interest around data lakes. And data lakes are kind of flat file databases, so to speak, of disparate information around your organization that come together and allow you to quickly report and visualize customer data, financial data, any sort of data that's important within your organization. And you can do it very quickly and very efficiently. And that really speaks to, that need for data quickly and more often than we've needed it before. So we learned that, our customers were more interested in data lakes. So we started to use some research tools, or we have used some research tools to gather some information about data lakes to create and deliver content for data lakes in particular. So let's talk about the first one. Answer the Public is a tool that allows you to put in a topic or a word like data lakes, and then it comes out with different questions about data lakes that can lead you towards answering questions that people have about that particular topic. So I've underlined one here, which is, what is Amazon Data Lakes? And I'm sure most of you know that we're a premier AWS, Amazon Web Services partner, and we do a lot of work around Amazon Data Lakes, AWS Data Lakes. And so this was a natural fit for us to answer this question. So we've developed some nice content on our website about our strength and expertise in Amazon Web Services data lakes. Another tool that we use is SEMrush. It gives us some information about what topics are have the most visibility out on the internet, and also maps that to some questions, again, that we might want to answer around that topic. So the one that's highlighted in green here is, what is the difference between data warehouses and data lakes? That was definitely something that we heard a lot from our customers, and that matched up with what our research here. And so we started to develop some content around that and answering that question. And especially in the world of search engine optimization and driving traffic to your site, there's lots of opportunity to get visibility on that if you answer a specific question. That's something that we can discuss in more detail some other time, but it was a really good target for us. And then lastly, once you develop some of that content, we use a tool called SparkToro, and what we did in this case is we put in a question, which is, or a comment, which is, my audience frequently talks about, and then we put in data lakes, and then this tool goes out and looks for influencers in the world of social media, websites, podcasts, YouTube, and it also gives us some information about audiences, where they live, what kind of folks are interested in this, and so on. So this gives us some great places to go to promote and give some amplification to the content that we've delivered and created around data lakes. So this has been a great tool for us to know where those people go when they want to learn about data lakes. And so hopefully when we get some of that content published here, they'll come and visit our site or call us and ask us questions about that particular topic. So just to wrap things up here, the story that we're really telling here is things are starting to open up. Asia, Europe, and even some states in the United States are relaxing some of the restrictions around businesses and starting to open up a little bit. We're starting to see some increases in traffic and activity on websites. It's still early. It is a bit of a moving target, but we're seeing some movement in the right direction. We know that probably over 41% of people think businesses will be back to normal in about 6 months. So that's a good sign as well. That's definitely heading in the right direction. And we also know that people feel more comfortable when businesses establish COVID-19 public health rules and put them in place. And people are going to be more likely to not only do business with you if they go to your location, but also if you're a service-based business, they know that you're taking care of your employees. I think this is huge, and all the information I just talked about points towards this. Companies are starting to process customer data at an accelerated pace. They're moving from quarterly, yearly, quarterly to monthly, and weekly, in some instances daily information, because things are changing so quickly in this new world that we live in. It's really important to have access to that data lake. So having access to industry and consumer data, customer data, and then creating targeted content to meet whatever those needs and attitudes of your customers is so important. So you really need to understand how people are thinking and what direction they're going in these days. So I hope this information's been helpful. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I'd really love to hear from you, hear about what you're experiencing in your business around COVID-19. So be sure to reach out to me, and don't forget to visit me again when we do another 10-minute tech talk, or even our 20-minute tech break. So thanks again, and good luck.